Hi everybody. Over ADAU TV studio, I'm greeting every one of my students and listeners. Thank you very much for watching my presentation. This is my fourth presentation, and as you remember, the last of three, my presentation was in Azerbaijan language. But now I decided to do my new presentation in English language. The topic of my presentation is measurements of forest stands. Measurements of forest stands. The topic plan are the following. The first one is introduction to forest stand concept. Here also exist sub-paragraphs such as mean age, number of layers, puree and mixed stands. The second is number of trees in a stand. The third, stand table and frequency diagrams and probability distributions. The fourth is stand basal area. Stand basal area. The fifth, average diameter of forest stands. Six, this is stand height. Seventh, stand height curve. 8, crown closure. 9th, stand volume. 10th, stand density. And 11th, site index. The reference for your further reading you can find at the second page of my presentation. Now let's talk about introduction to forest stand concept. Definition. 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 The forest stands is the most homogeneous part of the forestry. Homogeneous by age structure, homogeneous by number of layers, homogeneous by species composition, homogeneous by environmental condition, and homogeneous by growing conditions. After this, let's talk first about composition of forest stands. Composition of forest stands. Forest stands, sorry. No. Composition of forest stands. In relation to composition of forest spaces composition, the forest stands can be pure forest stands and mixed spaces composition. So, forest stand divided to pure and mixed. In pure stands, there exists just one wood species, but in mixed forest stands, there are 1, 2, or 3, or even more forest species. The forest stand composition can be represented by as a fraction of the number of 10. Fraction of 10. Let's apply to the example. Let's apply to the example. Let's think that in some territory, exists some forest land, for example, consisted just by one forest species. Let's think this is a pine tree with total wood stock equal to cube meters, 100 cube meters. It is clear that let's think that in this forest lands, the total wood stock of forest land is also equal to 100 cube meters total. Then, by dividing wood stock related to pine tree to total wood stock, we quantify relative forest composition of forest stands. Let's do this. Forest composition is equal to, we get 10. This means that the forest stand fully completed by just one pine tree. This is the example of pure forest stands. Now let's think. Now let's think that in some territory exists three forest tree species, such as oak or Quercus castanifolia, with wood stock equal to, let's think, 60 cube meters. The first. The second, let's think again, this is a beech. Fagus orientalis. With wood stock equal to 100 cube meters. And third species, let's think pine tree. Pinus, let's think eldarica. With wood stock equal to 4 cube meters. It is clear that in this, by the way, all of three such stand composition of forest build forest stand. Let's compute total wood stock for this forest stand. It is clear that the total wood stock is equal to 200 cube meters total. Is equal to 200 cube meters. By dividing these numbers to total wood stock, we find relative wood composition of forest stand. Let's doing this. The first one is 60 to 20 is 3 and is equal 3. Here's is equal 5 and here's is equal to 2. Then the forest composition is can be represented as the following equation, composition equation. 3 oak or 5 beech and 2 pine. As you understand that here this is letters is the first letter of the name of the wood species. If there exists in forest stand, if there exists additional forest species with wood stock less than 5%, less than 5%, but more than 2%, we always mark here as a plus. For example, let's think that in this forest stand exists, let's think linden, Tilia caucasica, with wood stock, let's think 7 or 8 cube meters. Then we in the forest composition equation we put here the sign plus and write linden. If additionally there exists some other wood species with wood stock less than 2%, less than 2. For example, ash. Let's think this is Fraxinus excelsior. Then we put here, we write the letter R from rare words. From the first letter from these words. This is a composition of forest stands. As you understand, it is clear for you that the sum of forest stands is equal to total forest. Then we can also write here that that the forest is equal to the sum of forest stands. F, E stands, where E equal to 1 or to N. Now let's talk about age structure of for instance. Age structure. The age structure of for instance can be represented by age classes. Age classes. The age classes is the unit of age years. For hardwood and conifer species, hardwood, for example, oak, or oak, beech, and so on. And conifer, such as pine, is equal to, then for hardwood and for conifers, the age class always equal to 20 years, 0 to 20 years. 20 years. For softwoods, for softwood species, for example, linden, birch, Betula pubescens, for example. The age classes is equal to 10 years. And at the finish, for fast growing species, for fast growing species, for example, poplar. For example, Populus tremula. The age classes for fast growing species is equal 5 years. 5. Now, if we apply age class concept to the forest stand, we can say that if all the trees in the forest stand are the same age, then such kind forest stands always name it even-aged forest stands. The first is even-aged. If the trees in the forest stands difference to each other less than 20 years, then such kind forest stands will always name it as a conditional even-aged stance. The second is a conditional even-aged forest stance. And if the age difference between trees in the forest stand more than 20 years, then such kind forest stand will always name it as a uneven forest stance. Uneven. The age structure of forest stands also can be represented by age groups of forest stands. It's forest groups. If the mean age of forest stands is less than 20 years, the first one, if less than 20 years, then such kind forest stands were always named as a young forest stand. Young forest stand. If the mean age of the forest stands located in interval 20 to 40 years, 20 to 40, then such kind forest stands were always named as a bow forest stands. Third, if the mean age is located in interval 40 to 60 years, then such kind forest stand will always name it as a medium forest stands. Medium. Fourth, if the if mean age is located in interval 30 to 80 years, then such kind forest stands were always named as a growing forest stands. Growing. Five, if mean age is located in interval 80 to 100 years, then such kind forest stand we name it as a mature forest stands. And at the end of this schedule 6. If the mean age is in interval more than 100 years, we, such kind, for instance, we always named as a over mature, for instance, over mature. Do you make sense? Thank you. Now, let's think about canopy layers. Canopy layers. Number of layers. Number of canopy layers of forest stands. Number of canopy layers. In the forest stand, the canopy can be 1, 2, 3 canopy layers. For selecting canopy layers, there exist two requirements. The first requirement is the mean height of the second layers. Mean height. And the second requirement is the quantity of wood stock of the second layers. Wood Let's draw the pictures. The first requirement sounds that if the mean height of first layer less than 15 meters, then 15 meters, then you have no any right to select the second layers. You have no right. For the selecting second layers in relation to mean height, the mean height of second layers should be as a fraction of first layer equals to 50 to 80%. For example, if the first layer's mean height is equal to 20 meters, then then the mean height of the second layers should be in interval 10 to 16 meters. If the mean height less than 10 meters or more than 16 meters, you have no any right to select second layers. The second layers then should be in this interval. Now let's speak about the second requirements. The second layer, as I said, should be satisfied also to second requirements. The second requirement, as you remember, is Woodstock requirements. According to this requirements, if the Woodstock of second layers is less than 30 cubic meters, less than 30 cubic meters, you have no any right to select second layers. The second layers in relation to Woodstock should be more than 80%. More than 80%. For example, if the Woodstock of first layer is equal to 100 cubic meters, then the second layers should be more than 80 cubic meters. If first layer is equal 100 cubic meter, then second layer must be equal no less than or more than 80 cubic meters. Is it clear for you? Thank you. Now let's talk about the number of trees in a stand. This is the second paragraph of my presentation. Number of trees in a stand. The number of trees in a stand, let's clear our board. Again, the number of trees in a stand is a very, very important characteristics of the forest stand. It can be represented the quality of silviculture plantings in forestry enterprises. It can be used also for estimating natural regeneration of the forest stands. For doing this, we always in a forest stand select the trial plots with different sizes. For example, one trial plots which sizes 1 to 1 meters, 10 to 10 meters, or even in the cases forest stand, if we want to estimate density of forest stand, we always use the plot size should be 100 to 100 meters. In this plot size, we count all of trees located in these plot areas. For the counting, now let's speak about third one. For the counting of the trees in trial plots, we always distribute the trees by DBH classes. What's the DBH classes? Then again, DBH classes. What's the DBH classes? DBH classes is diameter at brass height. Which is equal always to, which is brass height, which is always equal to 1 to 3 meters from ground. 1.3 meters from ground. Now, DBH classes. The DBH classes begins from, in most cases, begins from 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters. But there exists also class interval, which is equal to 1 centimeter for the scientific aims, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, and 4 centimeters. Let's think we consider the DBH classes with 4 centimeter intervals. Then the DBH classes will be as a following: 8 centimeter, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and so on. Now we distribute all of the trees into these forest DBH classes. Simultaneously, we also distribute trees by quality classes. Name it as a business wood. There exists synonymous for this word. Business wood can be industrial wood, merchantable wood, commercial timber, and so on. Let's think that we talk about business wood classes. The classes other classes are the first business wood, the second what? The second is semi-business wood, and second firewood. How can we differentiate business wood from semi-business wood? Let's draw the pictures. If the length of timber of the trunk of wood is equal to more than 6.5 meters, then such kind, let's think this is here. Then such kind trees always name it as a business wood. If the length of trunk is equal to (40 to 65 meters), then such kind forest woods are named as a semi-business wood. Then the first one is a business wood, and second is semi-business. If this sizes is less than here's 2 meters. Is less than 2 meters, then such kind forest trees always are called as a firewoods. Firewood. If less than 2 meters. Is it clear for you? It proves that after distribution, we can say that it proves that the distribution of trees by DBH classes always obey the normal distribution law. Normal distribution law. Normal distribution the analytical form of normal distribution law can be represented as by the following equation. Y equal to 1 to sigma to p minus in this equation, y is normal distribution, the sigma is standard deviation. Sigma is standard deviation. The formula of standard deviation, as you know, sigma is equal to this is the equation for standard deviation. Mu here, this is mean, for example, mean diameter. And is unit, this is unit normal variate. If we mark as a Z, unit normal do you make sense? Good. Now let's talk about stand basal area. Now question is, what the stand basal area? The stand basal area or cross section area or is the area of circle on the tree trunk at the 1.3 meters. Let's draw pictures. This is brass height. And the diameter and the cross section area. The cross section area is the basal area of true trunk. The sum of cross sections or basal areas name it as stand basal area. So stand basal area is equal the sum of basal areas of trees. If we denote that basal area as G letters, then the basal area will be can be described by this equation. As you know, the basal area can be computed by the Sosyal equation, Sosyal area equation, which is equal G E equal to P D quadrat to 4th. Do you remember this equation from geometry? Good. Now let's talk about average diameters of forest stands. After doing this, we can compute also average diameter. There is one more way to compute average diameter. You can count the diameter all of trees, summarize them, and divide to the number of trees which is you count. But in forestry practice, we always quantify the average diameter through basal area. So, from this equation, we can find average basal area for the stands. Forest stands. G average, G mean, then equal to the sum of G is E equal to 1 to N to the number of trees. From this, we can quantify the mean diameter of forest stands by the equation G mean is equal to P D quadrat mean to 4th. From this equation, we can quantify mean diameter of forest stand by equation D mean is equal to G mean to P. This is equation for quantifying mean diameter. Now let's talk about stand height of the forest. The mean stand height of the forest can be determined again in two ways: the analytical way and the graph method. Let's clear. If we, during measurements of diameters of trees, if we measure also the height of the trees, then we can quantify the mean height of the trees by the equation. H mean equal to G1, as you remember, G is the basal area each of the trees. Multiplicate to H1, as you remember, as I said, this is height of each one of trees. Plus the second trees, that is G2, H2 plus Gn, Hn divided to the sum of basal areas sum. G1 plus G2 Gn. This is analytical way to quantify mean stand height. But in most cases in forestry, the stand height quantified by graph method. By drawing graph, and let's draw graph. Here's diameters. This line, horizontal lines, this is diameter lines, and here's vertical lines is height lines. In this coordinate system, for each one couples diameters and height respond one dot. All of trees data build here's the cloud of dots. The cloud of we can draw the curve through this cloud so that the number of dots on the curve approximately should be equal to over the curve. As you understand, it is clear for you that the equation for this curve can be described by the equation. Unfortunately, time is over, so thank you very much for your watching.